So glad to be here today, and this presentation can really change you. It can change your workplace, and it also can change the world. Pablo Picasso said it very, very well. The meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give your gift away. Great words, and certainly appropriate as we dig into this topic. Fill your heart and your workplace with active giving. Now, I've been fortunate to work in the for-profit world at the Hartford Business Journal, and also now serve as the Director of Partnership Development at Klingberg Family Centers in New Britain. We serve over 3,000 children and families a year, extending hope and healing to them. These children and families have been through some type of trauma, abuse, or neglect. And so it's a real passion of mine to help these children and families, but also to help others help them. And I've been fortunate in my 5 years there to really see some amazing things happen when workplaces get together and give. Now today we're going to cover 3 points. We're going to talk about what is the definition of active giving, what does that mean? We're going to talk about ways that workplaces can embrace this idea of active giving, and then we're going to list out some maybe different ideas or ways that you and your workplace can give back. First, we need to start with the fact that the need is great, as George said. And these, I won't take the time to read these statistics. They're sobering enough up on the screen. But the sad fact is that for every single number that is up on that screen, there's a face. There's an actual person. And that person who's homeless or has been abused, has a wife or a mother or a brother or an uncle or a grandfather. And sadly, these people need help. And so that's what we're talking about today. Now, giving, we all know what giving is. We give of our time. We give to the little girl next door who's selling Girl Scout cookies. We give at a gala that our friends invited us to. But I'd like to suggest a different kind of giving tonight, and that is active giving. Actually being engaged and thinking about the impact you're making when you're giving. And that's the really important part for me. 3 things to remember, and really this is kind of focused in on the active giving idea, is to pick your spot. This is true in the workplace, but it's also true in our individual giving. We all have causes that are really important to us. For me and my husband, who adopted 2 older children, children and families are a real passion for me. For some, it's pets. For some, it's homelessness or hunger or education. And so when you pick a spot that really matters, really, really matters, because that will help you get really, really engaged and involved. Secondly, engage. If you're going to get involved and support an organization, I encourage you to meet the leaders of the organization, to know the staff, to know what their dreams are for the future, and to be able to support them in ways that they need your help. So engage. Really get to know who they are and what they're doing. And lastly, and again, I said this before, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's so very important, recognize the impact. I'm fortunate to work for a nonprofit, and I see the impact when workers are working with a little elementary school kid that's having a hard time, and I see the difference that's made in his or her life. Feel that impact. Know the numbers and the ways that you are helping people, and it will make you want to give even more. Now here's a great example. I'm going to give you now 3 different examples of some giving in the workplace. This is actually a wonderful example from BL Companies. BL Companies has chosen Connecticut Food Bank to give back to. It happens to be a neighbor of theirs right down the street. So it's very easy for them to get there, and it's a very neighborly thing to do, and they're very in-depth. They really care about the cause. But the way they do it is very unique. They don't just get their workplace together. They invite their friends and their families to go out with them as a group. And they don't do it during the day. They do it at night. So it's a social thing. It's a fun thing. And it really, again, is a new and different way, I think, to engage your workplace in giving. A good giver gives with their heart and gives with their head. And so my next example is from a time when I was at the Hartford Business Journal. Some of you may remember back in 2008 when everything crashed and things were really stressful in the workplace. There was a lot of fear going on. And at the Hartford Business Journal, people were not calling to place ads. They were calling to cancel their ads. And so there was this real stress and negative energy, and it was scary. Well, a month before, I had committed to have a group of high school students come in, handicapped high school students, to come into HBJ and discover what it would mean to work for a newspaper. I was trying to think of a reason to cancel this because I just thought to myself, this is like the worst possible thing we could do. I'm going to divert everybody's attention. They're going to get mad because they're not going to have time to do their work. But I couldn't think of a good reason. So the high school students came, and they sat with our production person who showed them how he developed ads with graphics and out on the internet. And the news team took some folks, and they showed them how to put up the newspaper before it went to press and how it got checked. And the events people showed them how they market and advertise for the events. And as I walked around the office, I heard the staff talking about what they loved about their job. That's what they were sharing with these high school students, how they loved what they did because it was such a challenge for them, and how they got there, and how they worked with the team as a team. And at the end of the day, I said to myself, what a life lesson for me, that this, instead of being a negative draw on our energy, it lifted us up. And I think that's what happens with active giving. This next story is a Klingberg Family Center story, and it's about Elizabeth Webster, who gave her first gift to Klingberg as a donor. She gave $25 and a string of Christmas lights. And 3 months later, she came back and said she had 2 questions for us. The first one was, can you tell me a story of somebody who you made a difference in their life? And of course, that we could do very easily. But the second question was very wise. She asked, did we still have the Christmas ornaments? She wanted to see how we had valued her gift. And if we had used her gift, and we told her, yes, we had used them, and yes, we still had the Christmas lights. And by the way, we still do have the Christmas lights. In her will, she left Klingberg Family Centers over $1 million. And so she had tested us and made sure that her $1 million was going to be used in a safe and wonderful way. And it is, and today, the Webster House, which is named after she and her husband, is a group home that helps children with behavioral and medical needs. And it takes a special kind of staff to work with those kind of kids. And when I think of the hundreds and hundreds of kids that she has helped and will continue to help over the years, it's pretty amazing. So benefits of active giving, morale, we heard that with the HBJ story. Teamwork skills, we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get to the volunteer section. Retention and recruitment. This is another kind of overlooked idea that a workplace giving program is really a wonderful tool for retention and recruitment. So I encourage you to go back and ask your HR folks, are they using this as a benefit? Because I think it could be a really, really great one. And of course, the last and most important part of active giving in the workplace is that it's helping others. And that's such a great feeling when you can end a day or do something that makes somebody else's life better. Now, there's lots of ways to actively give. Certainly financial support by the company, and many companies actually do ask their workers to help them choose the group that they're giving to, so that's one way financially. Employee donations that can be collected on the company level. So this is in the boxes there are personal care items that was collected by one company to help our kids in the school. This is a great photo, and this was at the end of a volunteer day. Now you can't see the little elementary school kids, but you can see their little legs, can't you? Aren't they cute? We're not allowed to show our staff, any of our clients in any photos, so we get their legs. But you can see the smiles of the staff and of the volunteers. They came and spent a hot summer day doing a summer field day. And whether it was the egg toss or the balloon contest or the barbecue lunch, or the kids at the end of the day talking about what their goal was and how they met it. It was a really powerful day. And again, just being engaged with them was really terrific. Now, the volunteer experience is something that's very special. So if you many of you may have already volunteered with your company. And if you have, this is the kind of way I've seen it happen. So you get to a place that's not very familiar usually, and sometimes you're working with a group of people that you don't even know because they're from a different office or a different department, and you try and kind of get in groove doing this task, whatever it is, whether it's hanging banners or painting furniture or raking. You get in this groove, and then you start talking to each other, and you talk about your new car that you're going to buy, or what your kids are up to, or how you're redoing your kitchen, or what you really care about. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful time when companies can be doing good work and getting to know each other a little better. So we've talked about the definition of giving, active giving. We've talked about some examples in the workplace. Now I want to spend some time talking about some new and different ways that you may not have thought of. I had gone to a company in Hartford, and I had asked them to make a donation, and they said they were very sorry they couldn't do that, but they would like to help us. They really wanted to help us. Please come back with some ideas and ways we can help you. So we went back and we thought about it. We realized that they were website developers. And oh, by the way, we needed a website tweak to allow our alumni, these are children who grew up in the orphanage, an opportunity to look at the photos when they were children online. And so we went back to the company with that idea. They absolutely loved it and spent 10 months working with us to develop and load all of the information that gives our alumni the opportunity to see their photos of them when they were children. A great project for both ends. Now, I'm sure there may be things that your organization does that a nonprofit may need. If it's not building or construction or architecture, it may be accounting. They may need leadership skills. They may need help with marketing. They may need help with social media. And so think about ways that you can help a nonprofit that aren't just about the money, that's really supporting them and their cause. The other way is to give of relationships, right? We all have friends and family, and isn't it great to share when you're passionate about a charity, share that information with them and introduce them to each other so that someone else can get as much joy and give back as you do. Share your motivational time. Some companies bring in motivational speakers, they have women's clubs, they have diversity groups. I encourage you to bring in the charities. Nonprofits, especially small and medium-sized ones, don't have money to do that type of thing, and you'll all get to know each other a little bit better. Share your tickets. Many companies have tickets for the Travelers Tournament or golf or a gala. Please give the tickets out to your nonprofit. They will value those tickets. And even better, go with them and, again, network with them as you can. There are lots of different ways to give. Share your giving and celebrate. We want to remind you that if you're doing this, you want to share the good news with others. You want to share what you're doing and spread the idea. And celebrate with your teams. If you create a workplace opportunity, be sure to celebrate that giving. Be sure to have internal communications as well. Share the pictures and make sure that the office knows that there were 10 volunteers that went out and did some really good stuff in the community that day. It makes everyone feel really, really good. So takeaway points, I encourage you to really think about picking a spot and going back to the office and seeing if others would pick a spot with you to develop workplace initiatives if you don't have one. Pick a spot that you're really passionate about. Maybe you have educational clients. Maybe literacy might be a good place. Maybe you have construction. So I encourage you to really think about that. Engage with that community no matter who they are or what you can offer, and then also remember you had a great impact. By the numbers, Americans give. We're very fortunate for that. So we're back to the beginning. Remember that the purpose of life, as Pablo Picasso says, is giving it away. Give away your gifts. I have about 20 more ideas than I had time to develop, than I had time to put on the screen. So if you're interested, please see me after or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm glad to share those with you. Thanks, and have fun actively giving.